So now we've built everything up from the ground, and it's what I would consider using data that our business has collected over many years. We've now assembled a perfect business. Now the variables come in, which is the fun part, okay? So if you imagine that this perfect business, it's got all the technology, all the right apps. Now it's just about training. Now it's just about process. But now, the things that are missing that I've noticed, and that's where my passion is now, is in the branding, the modern marketing, the culture of the business, why people want to work there, what does the business do? These things are the weakest parts of all the businesses that I've ever worked with in the past, because coming from an IT standpoint, you get pigeonholed into that's your understanding only, not the business development or the business intelligence or any of the process engineering or any of the modern marketing. But I mean, you know, coming from it from, if I was to say personally, so this is where I'm going to be transparent. My business is a business too. So what I've created is something that I love to do. And then I realized that the love of what I do wasn't being taken in by people that are already working with my company or myself. Because the passion I have for business is the winning side. You know, let's weaponize your business so you kick ass, right? Like that's exactly what I want. So now, once I have, it's like the give. The give is the build of this perfect technology infrastructure so that now we can focus on the real things like sales, which is awesome, because where I can be honest is that one of the problems that I suffer is lead generation is so huge for the automated method, but it's not specific because it gets pigeonholed in the wrong places. That's because my story brand isn't solid. So what happens is if you go to my LinkedIn page or you go to my business Facebook page or our website, whatever, you can kind of understand what's going on, but maybe it's not exactly as easy to break apart as I thought in the past. Why? Because of the narrative. So if I want to be a story brand, I need a narrative. So it's funny because you want, and I will mention this all the time, a snake eating its own tail. The automated method is a snake eating its own tail, for sure. Because I had to determine what was my missing piece. My missing piece was the narrative, okay? And now that's not a missing piece because this is something that I should have been using a long time ago. And so now we're gonna get to this level of the automated methods storytelling. Now that we've built a business that's ready for war and we've freed up as much time as possible for you to make the proper decisions to run your business. Now let's focus on the fun stuff. Now let's focus on the stuff that's like game changer. Because if you want to realize something that the last conversation that I had before I just almost lost my mind was the traditional modern business method differential. And so that's why I started to podcast, and that's why I started to do these videos, is because I realized that there's a major weakness in business understanding, because I can have one phone call and that will be a traditional business, and they want to evolve and they want to modernize, and then they're right in the middle. If they were to do it tomorrow, they're right in the middle now because modern business is already there. And so when they come together, modern business has never had the same problems that traditional business has had because they're all digital. So now, they also have a different outlook, which is to kill all business competitors. They're literally in the business of competition first. They understand that it's there. So you can see that it's like a real hard conversation when you need to just get out there and say, listen, man, this is what's going to happen to you in the next few years if you don't change. All the people that are all digital businesses are just going to fucking kill you because they don't have to think about the same things. They don't have decision fatigue. They run and operate their business with joy. Like that's where I have to make sure that people understand how crazy it is that I watch joyless business operation and then complete joy business operation. So I'm in the middle, and I'll be honest, which do you think is more fun and enjoyable for me? Right? Like, which one of those do you think I would rather have a conversation with on the regular? Right? I want to help. That's where the coaching comes in and the mentoring, because I do realize that there's a deficiency, and it's already happened, it's already started, and I call that digital animosity, and that is real. And so these videos are supposed to get what I know, my rants, my confessionals, out to you, so that when you start thinking about these decisions that you need to make, traditional modernization, I want you to know personally from me, I do care, and I built a business that's there to help, because now it's going to be an epidemic, because I feel like the tipping point has already happened, where digital businesses, pure digital startup, that don't have the frustrations that you do from whatever time you started to now, they're outweighing the traditional business. So it's like not a 50-50. Let's say it doesn't, I don't even need stats for this, but let's say it's not a 50-50 anymore. It's reached, 51-49. And the 51-49 is in favor of the modern business world. And what I've realized, and this is like a good finisher here, or I like to call a spiker, is that modern business, and so versus traditional business, their methods, modern business, basically these days, what they've created, this culture that they've created, they've now started to go into traditional markets that they didn't used to go into before. So there was a lull, because a lot of startup culture wasn't about traditional business. But because people are into business design, they're not necessarily in the business, working in the business, they're just building businesses now. And so they see that there's a weakness in the traditional business world, and now they're building modern businesses first that are in the same industries and markets of these traditional businesses, and they're ready for war. Like, they're weaponized and ready for war. So they're already 51-49, and then you got traditional. So if you don't think there's going to be a bloodbath, then you got another thing coming, because they're going to be filled with energy, not burnt out, not busy. They know not to use that word, and they're going to come flying at laser guided android sharks. That's modern. And sliding into the traditional, sphere. And traditional is unprepared, and they denial. And the problem I see is all that's connected to the economy as a whole, and like people's, inner being as a whole, because they're going to be attacked. And business is business. It's not personal. So like a lot of these things where people are going to feel like they're going to feel like real emotional failure, it's because they were unprepared for war.